one. All right, guys. So as I said, welcome to the IPC TV. Every day this week and next week, I am going to be joined by some of the inspirational and incredible international co-authors from the Imperfectly Perfect Campaign and Pay It Forward Notes to My Younger Self Volume 4 book. Tonight is no different. I will say it's the morning over in the UK where this lady is joining me from.
Indeed.
So first and foremost, Esther, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Guys, if I'm looking here, there and everywhere, as you know, I've got IG Live down at the bottom, the community platform, Zoom, and we are going to go live afterwards on the LinkedIn platform as well. So now I have got you on the show, Esther, taking a nice cup of, a sip of, is that a cup of tea or coffee?
It's tea in my
So
Winnie
British.
the Pooh cup.
Have
It
you
is
got a rich,
definitely tea in Winnie Pooh cup.
have you got
My
a
favourite
rich
cup.
tea biscuit or a bourbon?
Chocolate biscuit every time.
Oh, bourbon. I miss them. They don't do them over here. I did like the rich
Oh,
teas.
that's so sad. That's almost a reason to leave Australia. I'm
No,
sorry.
20 years I turn up back at England and they're like, why did you leave?
I'll
Because they
send you
didn't have
some
my
chocolate
bourbon.
biscuit. I'll send you. And
Thank
they
you.
might be a little bit crushed and melted, but you know.
That's all right. So we are here and we're going to talk about your involvement in the book. So we were having a brief conversation the other day, and I know that you was looking to appear in one of the other volumes of the book, and then you started talking about Imperfectly Perfect Campaign. You actually loved the title and something drew you with that as well. What was it that drew you about that title in itself? Because I know you do a lot of work.
I had talked to Kezia about the previous book, and she had said to me that she didn't think it was the right time and I wasn't ready. So I had literally forgotten all about it, was getting on with my life, hadn't given much thought at all. And then she emailed me to say, are you still interested? Here's some information about this book. And I guess I just was instantly drawn to the idea of being perfectly imperfect. Like just the concept that there's no such thing as perfect. And there's no such thing, and just how much pressure everyone puts on themselves about being this weird, strange version. And what is perfect? Because perfect to you is going to be so different to perfect to me. I mean, for instance, you're a weird, crazy person who gets up early and exercises. I think that's insane.
True.
You know, and so like everyone's idea of perfect is just completely different. So that was the first concept. And the concept, at first it was all about doing it for the campaign. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about anything else. I just liked the idea of getting involved in something like that. I liked the idea of having a different distraction because there was a lot going on in my life. And the idea of having something else to focus on to sort of take me away from everything else was quite appealing to me.
Yeah, and with your chapter in the book, I've read it. There's several people, co-authors who have read it as well, and celebrity endorsers who have read it. So inspired by it. But a little bit of teaser, because we are launching on the 30th of November. What is the title of your chapter, and can you break it down a little bit, but not give too much away?
Well, actually, the title came from something what won't give too much away with that actual story. So the title's A Lame Duck. And part of the process Kezia took us through was going back through old memories. And the lame duck is something my mum used to call me when I was at primary school. And everyone thinks, oh, that's really horrible. But it wasn't. It was actually a really positive statement. It wasn't done in a horrible way or anything. What she meant was I was attracted to people who weren't part of the cool group, who weren't the people who fitted in. I was always attracted to the misfits. I was always slightly on the outskirts, and I'd form really close relationships with one or two people on the outskirts. Never massive groups, I was never ever part of the cool team or anything like that. I very much did everything my own way. And as I was writing the book, I realized a couple of different things. So I talk about misfits and how I'm going to combine that idea, that concept into my business and my life. But that was something what came from writing the book. It wasn't something I'd kind of put my finger on before. But actually, the very first misfit in my life was my mum. She very much did everything her own way. She was the most extraordinary artist and incredibly talented, but she was her own person. You couldn't tell her what to do. She was very stubborn and very independent, and she'd just get on with what she wanted to do. So yeah, that's where it came from. So I
Wow.
guess that's a little bit teaser. The other teaser I can give away is I'm the only one who's done things slightly differently. So I literally start out of my chapter going, if you know me, you won't be surprised that I've done it differently to everyone else. And I know everyone who knows me will be cracking up at that because I don't ever do anything the same as anyone else.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And it does stand out, and it is an amazing story. What I say this to a lot of the co-authors that come on now. What are your hopes for the book to make a difference in someone's lives? Like, everyone always has a different reason. What's your hopes that this book can do for somebody?
I guess so. Without giving too much away, I write about something I'm going through currently and looking back through experiences. So what I did was go back through experiences and took what I learned from those experiences and how that's helped me deal with what I'm currently going through. So I guess it's to make people feel they're not alone. It can be one of the most loneliest journeys. I certainly have approached it in a, well, to me, it's not a unique way. Everyone keeps telling me my approach is very unique and no one else does it like this. But to me, honestly, it was the only way I could. To me, it just was what I could do. It wasn't something I thought of. It wasn't something planned. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do it differently to such and such. It was the only way I could possibly survive.
Mm.
So I guess that's my message, is to find the way that you personally can cope with it. Don't worry about how other people do it. Don't worry about how other people work out. We're all got our own unique ways. And I hope to inspire and encourage people. And life is so short. My life changed just like that. And it really makes me think, carpe diem, go and live your life. It's
Mm.
just too short.
With that in mind, it just leads me, something just popped in my head there. With everything that you've been through and you currently go through, and you're very openly about speaking your truth and helping other people with this, what inspires you?
um, what inspires me? Okay, I guess part of me is inspired by seeing my mum do something similar and wanting to do the opposite to the way she dealt with it.
Mm.
So it's kind of it's inspired of what not to do, knowing that I don't want to end up in a similar situation to her, and that I very strongly feel I'm only 44. I've got a life left, and I want it to mean something. I want it to stand for something. I want to be in 30, 40, 50 years, whenever the end of my life comes, I want to be able to go, wow, that was amazing. What a venture. And not a venture for some, I mean, some people would say I'm very safe, not adventurous at all. So what I mean is, what is an adventure? I'm not going to be the person who goes skydiving off the highest building. I'm not going to be the person who goes bungee jumping. To me, it's a waste of time. I don't understand why people do it. So that's not going to be my type of adventure. But what is adventurous for me and for me? So my life means something, and that I've left a difference. I want to know that when I've gone, my life still means something. I've had some kind of positive impact on the world.
I love that. I love that answer. And with that being said, the question that I do ask everybody that supports or advocates for Imperfectly Perfect campaign, everything you've been through, Esther, everything you are, everything you personate, what does being imperfectly perfect mean to you?
What does it mean to me? that actually we're all the same by being different. That actually, if we all come together and all our imperfectness, or what we see as being imperfect, is what makes us unique and special and lovely, and just how boring would the world be if we were all the same? So actually, I think all those things what people see as imperfections are actually what make you beautiful.
Correct.
All those different creases in life and wrinkles. You know how like people constantly say, "Oh, I got to hide my wrinkles, or I'm getting old." To me, that's your story. That's your life.
Yep.
That's your past. That's everything. That's
Your
why would
laughter
you want to
lines.
hide that? Why would you want to get rid of that?
Yep.
And I think especially when you come, I guess I'm coming into the age where you're a bit more sure of yourself in some ways. I'm a little bit more sure of who I am, and that's just who I am. And actually, I'm quite, lovely, and I don't have to be something that someone else wants me to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I remember a long time ago, my aunt was, she was Jewish, and part of my family was also German in the war. And my grandfather was prisoner of camp and all of this. And I remember once saying to my aunt, why don't you just deny being Jewish? I don't understand why you would admit it. When your life depended on it, why don't you just deny it? And she looked me dead in the eye and said, you can't deny who you truly are.
True.
That was it.
Wow. Wow. Bet that lady has some stories.
Oh yeah, she's my hero. She's
Yeah.
my absolute hero. She actually was my great aunt. So, she lived quite a long life when I was quite young. But she was incredibly strong and independent, and she never married, never had children, but lived life where traveling as a single woman in the times where it was considered not the thing to do. She continued to lie about her age to her boss for many, many years because she didn't want to retire. So actually, that was really.
I love this woman. I think she's amazing.
She was just the most warm, loving, caring person. Everyone called her auntie. And I remember feeling very proud that actually you might call her auntie, but she is my aunt. She's actually mine. And she was the most loving, caring. She tried to feed everyone. I remember once she had to pick me up somewhere and take me somewhere in the taxi. My parents were away. It was a hospital appointment, and she actually prepared a sandwich for the taxi driver.
Wow. You know what? When I hear side stories like this, it's like this just makes us so proud of like what we're doing with this collaborative project and everything. Stories make the world go round. And I think there's so many untold stories in the world. Like your aunt there, if she had a book out, like it sounds like it would be fascinating.
Would be extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Yeah.
So I just think there's so many Go on. No, carry on.
I was just going to say, really, realistically, she died when I was 17. So I've actually lived more of my life without her than I ever lived with her. However, she still has one of the most strongest effects on my life, constantly. Wow. And she used to talk about, when we were little, about pink cloud and how she would sit on the pink cloud watching us. And it was her way of talking about death to young children who didn't really understand about death. I mean, she was the first person who died in my life, all those sort of things. And she would talk about pink clouds and sitting watching me. So now any time there's a pink sky, she's right there. She's right in my head. I hear her. I hear her voices. I know what she would say to me in different circumstances. I ask her what she's saying. She is with me. And I can't imagine that ever changing.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful story, and I'm sure later today, because we've been talking about it, her ears will be burning, and that guy will be pink, and you'll be like, I knew you were there.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
I do wonder what she would, what her reaction would be to my current situation. And without giving too much of, I can't really say too much about that, but I do think about that a lot. And I
Yeah.
do think about how she would be if she was still here. I mean, mind
Well,
you, she'd be 103 if she was still here. So,
wow, wow. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure she'd be proud, and proud that you're getting your story out there and her to make a difference in other lives. Because back in her days, maybe there wasn't the opportunity to get books out and tell their story like there is. And that's why I said there's so many untold stories out there. That could be a future project for you, telling the story of your aunt, because he sounds like some amazing stories.
If it to her, she would have brushed it off and told me to stop being so silly, and that there wasn't possibly a story there. She would absolutely. But mind you, when I first started talking to Kezia, she phoned me up and said, "Let's just have a catch up and vaguely talk about the project, but mainly just catching up." I was like, "I don't have a story to tell. I've got nothing to tell, nothing going on."
Yeah.
And she cracked up laughing because obviously after talking to her about what was happening in my life, she was like, "Yeah, of course, no story whatsoever."
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how
Yeah,
many people think they don't have one.
yeah, you don't see your life as a story, do you?
No,
You don't
no,
go
you don't.
around thinking, "Oh, that's no, it's just not how you see it."
You don't. Well, guys, we are coming out on the 30th of November. Esther doesn't really speak about herself that much, but she does make an impact on a lot of people. So, where can people find out more information about you? Or just tell people a little bit about yourself, how you help people, how you inspire people with your business as well. Because we're going live
Okay,
across all these platforms. It's a good opportunity.
okay, so actually, I wasn't when I went into this book. I really didn't think I'd combine this with business. It's not something I intended to do, but actually, I think a project is come out and it is naturally going to combine. So I always liked working with people who were slightly different or struggling in a situation or just needed someone to give them a chance. So I help people build a business under umbrella of a particular company I work with. But I'm actually going to be turning that and using it and using all the experiences I've gone through to help people create the right mindset before they go into the business so the business can fly. So it will be about building the business, but it will be about doing it in a way that business comes to them and all about attraction and manifesting and all of that. So not a traditional way of building it at all, but using it as a vehicle to make a difference in as many lives as I can.
Well, that's it, isn't it? As long as people can pass it forward, pay it forward. So, guys, I will put all the links up when this goes out across all the platforms where you can keep in touch and find more information about Esther. But until next time, guys, make sure you find out more information about the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Young Self Volume 4, in collaboration with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign across all the social platforms. 30th of November, write it down, remember it. And main thing I always like to finish these with is keep having the hard conversations, guys, because it's the hard conversations that saves lives.